to a show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Men's Podcast. And today on the podcast, I want to welcome actually an old neighbor of mine. I kind of still call him a neighbor. He only lives around the corner, so he's still kind of a neighbor. Previous guest from the podcast and neighbor of mine, Kettlebell athlete, owner of Raised Bells. You can go find him on Instagram and all over the internet as well, and competed in kettlebell competitions. Dana. What's up, Dana?
What's up, man?
How you feeling, man?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
Glad to be back over here. Usually we come over here for the neighborhood dad night, where we watch UFC. That's like once a month.
Yeah. Well, like I was looking at the was it the June card? I think it's June card. I'm not sure what's going on for May, but I know the June card has two title fights at least and a couple other fights. I was like, okay, we definitely be down for that one. I got to see what's going on. I don't even know when the May card is.
I'm excited. It might be June. No. I think it might be May. But Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier.
That's further out because what we just did, we just had 314.
Yeah, it's 317.
So it's going to be 317.
I think so.
Maybe
July.
July.
Yeah.
That sounds right. I make numbers up.
But that's going to be the next good one.
Like that fight alone. I think it's for the BMF title too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and it's Dustin's last fight. So I'm like,
so I think I saw something that was Dustin was Holloway's first fight, and now Holloway is going to be Dustin's last fight.
I like it,
and it's going to be in Louisiana.
Even better.
Yeah,
I think Dustin won both those fights.
I'm not sure.
I believe. So I mean, right now, let me.
But I know they're both brawlers, though.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a fun fight, and I like both dudes. It's one of those fights where it's like I don't want to see either one lose.
No.
So
I'd hate to see Dustin lose on his way out, though.
Yeah,
and in his hometown. But the UFC has a funny way of setting shit like that up, though.
Yeah, I'm trying. Who's on the? There was someone on the last card. I know I was texting with a friend before the fight, and we were both like, we didn't want to. Oh, it was Michael Chandler. We was like. Or no, not Chandler. Volk. We're like, look, Diego Lopez. I like the kid. He's up and coming, but it's Volk. And it's like I don't want to see either dude lose, but I especially don't want to see Volk get knocked out again because, I'm gonna be honest. If he got knocked out, y'all was gonna have to leave. Yeah. I was just like, yo, y'all gotta go.
That was an intense fight with him and Patty the Baddie, son.
Yeah, the Michael Chandler. I know there's a lot of talk about his Patty's last few opponents are like 0-13 combined, and people are like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. You're not, all that bad. It's like, first off,
I don't know, man.
He's still in there with fucking dangerous dudes.
Right.
It's not like they're chumps.
Yeah. And Volk, he's a warrior, dude. That dude always putting on a good show. Yeah.
Like I think anytime we have a social media, people just talk shit. It's like anytime you look at like a fighter out there doing some shit that we ain't doing, it's like I don't know if we really have any room to really talk shit.
No room.
Like,
because you put me in an octagon with any of them, they're gonna blast me.
Oh yeah, it's dude. I be getting worked by like young guys at my gym right now.
Right.
So you put me in there with somebody that this is their job.
Right.
Nah, I don't think I got much to offer. I mean. But whatever.
You can learn a few things, though.
Yeah, if I don't get knocked unconscious like right away,
right.
So, maybe I need to learn that I should zig instead of zagging into the punch. Like don't block punches with your face, things like that.
It's like you zigged when you should have zagged, son.
And now you're unconscious. But hey, it's all in good fun until people start really making shitty comments. But it's like
I've been getting real depressed.
What's going on there?
Well, I've been seeing, you can't believe everything you see on social media. And I'll see a post of, the Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones is like solid. It's set. And then I sent it out to you and Mike, and then Mike's like, nah, that shit ain't real. And I'm like, oh.
So Aspinall saying it though, so it's got to be coming from some place of truth. It's like if it's Connor saying some shit, it's like I'm not believing it. But like Aspinall saying it's got to become from some place of truth to some degree. Now, if it's not either John or Tom saying anything, and it's Chael Sonnen, I'd be like, it's bullshit too. Yeah. I'll wait. But Tom, he engaged, with that conversation and brought it up. So there's got to be some truth to it.
I'm sure there's massive, that talks about it. They're trying to figure out what the hell. But it's all about Jon Jones and what he wants, and he's going to get what he wants,
Of course.
He's going to get Madison Square Garden. He's going to get...
Yeah, true. If they're going to do it,
he wants a specific payday. Everything that John wants, he's going to get.
Yeah, it's like, look, man, like just give us the fight. I'm just here to be entertained.
Right.
Just fight. I don't care. Like, and that's one of those fights where it's like, I just don't know.
That's gonna be a good one.
It's like Tom's a fucking tank.
Look, yeah. If Tom wins, it's not gonna be a close decision. That's for sure.
No, it's if Tom wins, he's there to stop that dude. If John wins, he's going to I think Tom has to stop him early.
Yeah. Well, Tom's going to have to do what Tom does.
Yeah.
Because second, third round, first round.
Because once John kind of computes and figures out, it's like, okay.
Yeah, that's what John's good at. Though.
Like, now, once you get into that third round, it's like, okay, now I have to put this pressure on this dude and make him carry me. So I think if it's going to go late, I'm leaning John, but if Tom's going to do this, he has to stop him first.
We haven't seen Tom Aspinall 3 rounds deep before, right?
No.
And especially not no championship rounds.
No.
So,
everyone that he's fought, but this has happened before though with Shane Carwin. Well, Shane Carwin had never been out of the first round.
Right.
He fought Brock Lesnar and went into that second round, but gassed out. I don't see Tom gassing out.
Yeah.
If that first round isn't a knockout, it's because they're filling each other out and trying to get...
Which I can almost guarantee is going to be.
Of course, yeah. Because John doesn't normally go out there like...
That might be some of the fine print in the contract. Like, look, whatever y'all do, don't end it in the first round.
Give us at least 2.
Right.
Like Tom, don't fuck him up early.
Right.
Give us a little bit of time. And John's like, yeah, give me some time to calculate because once I figure you out, it's going to be a rough day. But we'll probably see that one in November, which it's fine. It's
if not next year, November.
That's yeah. If it goes to that point, he's in Connor status at that rate. It's like, look, dude, like, are you ever coming back?
But that's what Jon Jones does, man.
Yeah.
After Saragon fight,
I think he got injured though.
Yeah,
like he tore his
fucking toe.
Like, was it the toe? No, I thought it was his pec.
Yeah. I know he was having issues with his toe too.
Yeah,
because they wouldn't let him wrap it or some shit.
It's weird because it's like John will either get in trouble, and now he's older now, so injuries hit. But it was like, all right, we got this Jon Jones fight lined up, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, John's in jail.
Yeah,
like we got this Jon Jones fight lined up. Oh, there's something in his blood work.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck? Like, he's suspended for 2 years now. Like, yo, like, can what are we doing? So
hopefully all that shit's behind him though.
I don't know, man. Like, it's weird seeing him in his early fights, and he was like this quiet kid who, seemed humbled for the most part. And once he got that belt, it was like
I just rewatched his when he became champion.
Yeah, with Shogun.
Yeah,
he walked in with the flying knee. He walks into a fight with a flying knee. I was like, oh boy, like, this is about to be interesting. And
that dude has some lethal fucking elbows, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's like bone. I mean, Bones Jones. I mean, he's bony as fuck. He catch you with an elbow. And,
right.
I mean, that's his one loss was a DQ for 12-6 elbows. It's like they already knew like this dude's a killer with those elbows.
Right.
But those are also illegal.
Yeah.
for whatever bullshit. They're legal now, so I
Yeah.
think Dana White's trying to get them to overturn. He's been
To
trying to get
appeal
them,
it or something.
yeah, trying to like basically make it a no contest.
Yeah.
Because I mean, technically, John is undefeated. I guess I thought he lost to Dominic
I did too.
Reyes.
I thought that was a very close fight.
Like when he fought Alexander Gustafsson, I watched it back and forth so many times. And each time it's like it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
But that Dominic Reyes fight, there's no swaying.
For me, it was like, oh, Dominic got him.
Yeah.
You know?
It was like, oh, this like we got a new champion.
Yeah.
When they say
He's starting to look good again, too.
good for him. Man.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy to see that dude. Because after he lost to John, he just went to slide. And I was like,
He
oh
went on
no.
a spiral, didn't he? I thought he was done.
Yeah, I didn't even know he was fighting anymore until like the
Yeah.
last card. I was like, oh shit, all right, he's on. And then he came
But
out there.
he lost, what, like 3 in a row, 4 in a row?
Yeah, I think he lost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Now I think he's won 3 in a row.
Yeah, he's back on a win streak.
I like to see him get one more and maybe get a title shot. That'd be because look, man, he's the uncrowned champ.
Yeah.
So give it to the dude. And what was it? Even when before that fight, John fought Thiago. I can't remember his name now. Like, because I always would say Thiago Alves, but that was the welterweight that fought GSP. But Thiago Santos, and that was a split decision. And I mean, it was close, but I didn't think it was that close. But that Dominic Reyes fight was like, oh.
Yeah.
Johnny walking out with that. What the fuck is he walking out with the belt for? Like, he lost.
I think it's because really it was because of that last round. I think Jon Jones kind of dominated the last round.
Yeah, they do that. I mean, that's what the Alexander Gustafsson fight looked like as well, because Gus was like beating that dude's ass.
Yeah.
And then the third was very close. The fourth was close, but leaning John, and then John just kind of took over the fifth, and I was like, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know what they say. You gotta,
don't
you gotta make it. You gotta make it to where it's very undeniable.
Yeah.
If it's going to go to decision, it's got to be undeniable.
Yeah, I mean, and these things tend to go to the champ. Tend to,
Right.
But I don't know. We'll see where that all goes, and down that line, I'm here for the fights. I mean, a lot of cards being like we were talking about it last time. I'm over here, like the cards feel kind of watered down. It's just almost oversaturation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll look at a card, I'm just like, I'm pretty sure. Like if I'm busy, it's like, and it's a good card, it's like, I think I can manipulate my time.
Right.
It's like, oh, I'm supposed to record. Like I record with folks from Australia, and if I do that, it's always on a Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know what? We can record another time. Like there's no fights. But if it's like just a standard, like, that could have been a fight night card.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'm doing this one. Let me go ahead and do my recording or do family time or whatever it is. But hopefully, like, I think that June card looks good. I haven't heard anything about July, but they usually, go big for July because it's International Fight Week. August tends to be decent, and then September and October drops off a bit, and then November they bring it back with Madison Square Garden cards. So I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
In what we got coming up. Well, we got enough decent champs where the fight should be fun. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Volk got the belt back, so we'll see.
Yeah, that should be interesting because who's next? You
Right.
know, you got that. You got Patty now climbing the lightweight ranks, and he's looking good. He wants everyone.
I know.
He
don't care.
And then what's his name?
And he looks good too, man.
The who was the featherweight champ? He vacated the belt, moved up to lightweight. So it's like, where's he at in all of this as well? So it'll be a lot of fun to see how this all shapes out. And then we still got welterweight now to look at. New champ there. Well, not new champ, but it ain't Leon Edwards. It's Bilal. I think he's fighting next. He's fighting on the May card.
I tell you, man, I thought that boy that Volk fought. I thought he had it.
Yeah, I mean Lopez.
That was another one that was like really close.
Like Lopez is good, and it's just like it's one of those things where it's like I'd love to see him win, but it's Volk. And as long as you don't, like when he rocked Volk, I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
like I felt the tears build. I was like, oh no, don't do this to me. I got people here.
Yeah.
Don't knock him out while I got guests. But he recovered and that was good. But like Volk hit him with everything. That dude was fine. He did not budge. I mean, Volk won the fight, but it's like,
I mean, he stumbled him a couple times. It looked like, but he recovered quick too.
Yeah.
You know, and he was countering really well.
I mean that's a future champ there.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, we'll see.
I mean, Volk even said himself, he'll be back.
Who was it? And then I think light heavyweight Pereira lost the belt, so we'll see how that division shapes up.
Right.
But like I said, I like to see Dominic Reyes get one more and then go for that belt.
Yeah.
'Cause he's the uncrowned champ in my eyes.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be champ one day.
And then and then I was gonna say, who the fuck's like heavyweight? Oh yeah, we were just talking about John and Tom. After that is like, who fucking knows? I know there's some prospects and everything, but it's like those two are the ones where it's like, look, put them in there, let them fight, let's get it over with, because
I mean,
you're holding up the division.
if Jon Jones beats Aspinall, which, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to happen, but if he does, Jon Jones is going to be the undeniable best fucking UFC fighter of all time.
I think if he beats him, he'll probably retire.
I would hope so.
Like
I would hope so, because it's going to be a hard fight.
Yeah, I think there was rumors of him in Stipe's fight
Retiring after that. Yeah, but that's not the name you want to go out on.
I mean, Stipe. It's a solid name because he's considered because he's the only one to defend the heavyweight title three times, and it's like, I guess by those standards, sure, let's play that game. But I also think too, you don't want to retire out like that, because then there's the overhead talk of like, well, you never fought Tom,
Right.
Like, you can't call yourself the best if you never fought Tom. It's like, but you can say that with anyone. You can say it with anything. If someone retires, like, well, you never fought this person. Yeah, I mean, that person wasn't in the circuit of when I was at my peak,
Right.
when I was at my best.
But we're talking like, who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron? You know what I mean? It's total different time frames.
Yeah, for those,
You can't really have those kind of conversations. But with Aspinall being like active in the game, so is John. If he were to, take the retirement, then you have a legitimate like say.
You do.
Okay, you kind of.
It's like on the cusp of that. It's like if he retired, it's like I could see it. It makes sense, but also there's still that like, yeah, but you avoided this guy.
Right.
But it's so close to that thing where it's like, yeah, well, you know what? I look at all the people I ran through.
Yeah. True.
In light heavyweight.
But it would still be a stain.
I agree. But, it's one of the ones where it's like the closest one that you can get to where it's like two generations or two eras crossing paths. Because I was just talking about this recently, how we've, at least in my fandom, I watched early on. I want to say like, I think I started with UFC 5. We watched the others on VHS. We rented them from my friend's mom rented them for him from the video stores. Like, this is wild. Like watching cage fighting, because he did Taekwondo and they're all into martial arts. So like, hey, let's watch this. We all watched it as kids. It was like, this is fascinating. These folks are like, there's no rules. There's no bullshit to it. I stopped watching, honestly, around UFC 10. I was like, okay, I'm not keeping up with everyone, because there wasn't an internet how it is now, so you couldn't keep track of shit. There weren't like publications. Then when the Ultimate Fighter started, that's when I got back in. They had their little reality show, but now this is like this era now where you have GSP as your champ, Anderson Silva as your champ. Well, you had Matt Hughes, then GSP.
Yeah.
Then Anderson Silva took it from Rich Franklin. the light
Forrest Griffin.
Yeah,
You know.
Forrest Griffin was in there in the light heavyweight, which that belt rotated until it got to John. It was a new champ every month, or every defense. There's a new champ.
Right.
Your heavyweight was Brock, and then Cain Velasquez. So you see this kind of changing of the guard as you look at that era. And then you get to the next era where it's like, with the heavyweight, that one started kind of moving around a bit. I mean, you had Cain, then you had Junior Dos Santos, then you had Fabricio Verdum, and then Stipe. So it's like that one gets a little hinky, but when you're looking at like the champs through each of these, I guess, eras, if you want, now you're here at this new point where you're looking like, okay, well, they talk about Volk being the greatest featherweight of all time. It's like, y'all act like Jose Aldo didn't stay undefeated for 9 years.
Right.
Y'all act like this dude wasn't just storming everyone he fought. Even when he fought Josh Hominick, he won the fight and just coasted. He let Josh mount him and just Josh throwing punches. He just chilling. And, you can have these discussions where it's like, and I mean, Jose is still fighting, but he's in no condition. Like, he's in no position to like say, okay, I'm gonna stand up to Volk right now to prove who's the greatest of all time. It's like, you're not in your prime anymore,
Right,
Jose.
right.
Bust chills. But there's always the debate of like Khabib versus BJ Penn, Khabib versus GSP,
Right.
and it's like we're not gonna have those.
They're always fun conversations. But again, that's like the conversation of who's better, Michael or fucking LeBron.
Yeah. And you can never prove one way or the other. People can lean on numbers,
Right.
and that's fine. In fights you could say, well, Khabib didn't fight the toughest guys on his way up. It's like, yeah, but I mean, when he did get the opportunity to fight the tougher guys,
Right.
he dominated. So it's like it would always be fun to see him versus GSP, because GSP, even when he came back and fought Bisping, it was like, okay, he still got it after time off. I mean, this dude is still up there, and he won the belt. But I don't know, with any of those debates, I get exhausted at times because it's just it's take LeBron and Jordan.
Yeah.
That one gets exhausting because it's like, well, LeBron's got all these numbers. It's like, well, the game has changed in favor of scoring. Whereas like Jordan's coming up against the Showtime Lakers. He's coming up against the Bad Boys Pistons. He's going against the fucking Knicks, the Rockets, any team that Charles Barkley's on. Like he's looming. You got to deal with Charles Barkley somewhere out there. And it's like, and LeBron had to go against some beasts too. But again, the game has shifted to like, okay, we're dealing with a scoring league.
Right.
Whereas before, there was like almost no rules. If you're watching those old Detroit games, Bill Lambert's flipping dudes like they go up for a dunk and Bill's running undercutting them and watching them do a flip, and there's no foul call.
Right.
It's like, oh shit, get up, dude.
I saw this one like short little video the other day talking about, it was a kid that asked this commentator or somebody, so who's better, Mike Jordan or LeBron James? And the guy just simply, like, he had a few good points, but his main point was, back in the day when Michael was playing, he made the NBA's name, right? The ratings were high. The ratings skyrocketed. Yep. In LeBron's day, the ratings are way down. And like, that was his argument. And it made perfect sense to me, I
mean, whenever I think about either of them, it's like if they're playing against each other, on a physicality point, LeBron is a bigger dude.
Yeah.
So that in itself kind of gives LeBron an advantage. And then factoring he is skilled. I would, like, as much as I hate saying it, I would lean towards LeBron, but you just never know.
Yeah.
It's it's just tough to say because, I was watching this YouTube series called Timeline, and it's going like, I don't know how far back it goes, but I watched it starting with 1991.
Right.
And it's talk about everything that happened in 91 and in 92. And, it crossed the Bulls, went in a three-peat, and then Michael Jordan retiring, coming back, and then three-peat again. And MVP each time at that. And it's just one of those weird things. Think is like, I mean, that's got to speak for itself.
Right.
But people, like, well, yeah, but he had Scotty and he had this and he had that. I was like, okay, well, LeBron was on that Cleveland team, and sure, he improved them, but they didn't win a title.
Right.
He had to go down to Miami, and build a team. And then he came back to Cleveland when they rebuilt themselves with a couple number one picks. And then he went to the Lakers, and it was a shortened season. And it's just all the stuff. So it's like, and now he's got Luka in LA with him. So it's like, I don't think the Lakers going to win this year, but they do have a better team where they have a shot. But the whole thing is like, LeBron, it's like he always needed,
Right.
to, kind of form a team. Whereas Jordan's like, look, I'm going to retire, whatever controversies that may mean, and I'm going to come back. Oh, these guys are here. It wasn't like, hey, I need you to go get these guys. It's like, we're going to win what we have here.
Right.
And we'll make it happen. So, but I mean, any of these debates, I mean, they're fun for conversation, but at the end of the day, it's like, look, we'll never know unless we get, a time machine, which it's rumored that we have one. So, I mean, look, if the stories that are coming out of the White House are true, we got a time machine, I don't care about anything else. Like, let's just get Jordan and LeBron in their prime out there on the court, and like, let's settle it and then destroy the time machine after that. Like, break that shit, because there's other chaos that can come. I just want to see who's going to win this game. Like, well, what time are you going to go put them in to have this game? Well, bring Jordan here. I want to see the game now. I can't go in that time machine with y'all. Like, bring Jordan here, have the game, see what happens. Get prime LeBron, prime Jordan, bring them to 2025, let them play, and then after they're done, send them back where they belong, destroy the machine.
Sort of like a...
and live your life.
Yeah.
But we'll know then.
Right.
Make it a best of 5 series.
Yeah.
Because like, one-on-one is like... like, give us a best of 5. It's like, because I'd see it going all 5.
We have some sort of Space Jam shit going on.
It'll be Space Jam. Just like, bring them in and and make the game happen. I'll enjoy it. Like, I don't know about the rest of the world, but I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about me.
I mean, it'd be fun to watch.
I agree. But yeah, so it was a solid half-hour conversation there.
Yeah.
Before
I was gonna say, man, I remember when I was in Korea, to jump back to the UFC thing real quick, I remember bootlegging UFC 100. That was Brock and Frank Mir, I think.
Yes.
But yeah, I was over in Korea, and that's the time of LimeWire or whatever, however we downloaded music and shit.
Destroy the computer just to get 3 songs.
Oh, dude, it took me 3 days to download a song or something. But I remember bootlegging that when I was over there, and that's the reason. That's partly the reason why I got into UFC was because of Brock Lesnar. Yeah. Because of, I was a big WWF, WWE fan growing up. So when he made the switch and he went over to combat sports, I was like, oh, let's check this out.
I mean,
I've been a fan ever since.
That was kind of, what they're banking. I was like, well, we can pull some of those fans. Like, my buddy, he wasn't a WWE fan, but Brock Lesnar was a force. So he liked big dudes, because my buddy was a big dude, and he's like held all types of bench press records. So he would see Brock Lesnar wrestle, and that's the only reason he would watch wrestling. And then when he saw Brock go to UFC, he was like, I'm in. Like, I want to see what this dude does. So I mean, and that was the ideal. Bring over. And then I think they tried again when they brought over CM Punk. They're like, let's see if we can get some others. CM Punk is not quite the Brock Lesnar.
Right.
So, unfortunately, his run, I think he was 0-2. But Brock was, I can't remember his full record, but, he won the title. Yeah. So, I mean, that matters.
Yeah. And I can't remember, like, the timeline of everything, but, we had the Iceman, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz. That was a massive drawing.
Yeah, that was right. So they were like right before the Ultimate Fighter reality. It was like right around that time. But then I think they still had another fight later on, the trilogy
they had
fight.
2 or 3. Well, they had 3, right? Like later, and then Tito Ortiz finally got his win.
Yeah.
But he lost the first 2, right?
Yeah. So
The ones that mattered.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like the UFC's always had kind of its ups and downs.
Yeah.
Like when they were doing well versus I wouldn't say they weren't doing well, but it was like people's interests would go to something else. But they're always able to bring people back in, even when it felt like interest was waning. They merged with WEC where they brought in those lighter weight classes with the 135, 145. And that's not exactly what drew people in, but now you bring in Ronda Rousey, first time you're going to get women's fighters. And not that everyone was clamoring for a women's division, but Ronda Rousey was kind of on that rise where she's just starching broads, first round, like arm, and all with arm bars. So it's like technique.
Until she goes up against a force like, what's her name?
Well, she met Holly Holm.
Holly Holmes, yeah.
And I talked to a coworker years ago, and this coworker, she did Muay Thai. And I remember I would always stop by her desk and just sit there and talk about fights with her. And Holly Holm was still fighting LFA. And I remember saying, she was like, yo, this chick Holly Holm, I think they bring her over. She can put Ronda down.
Yeah.
And now when Holly came over, she had her first fight with Raquel Pennington. That looked a little like, oh, maybe she's not the one. Then she fought Marion Renaud, and she looked a little better, but still kind of like, maybe not.
Yeah.
And then when they
just getting her feet wet, bud.
And when they announced that Ronda fight, I was like, oh, Ronda's gonna steal this girl's fucking lunch money. And when she knocks her out, that old coworker, she tagged me on Facebook, was like, yo, the only person I know that predicted Holly beating Ronda was this dude. And I came in, I was honest, I was like, to be fair, like, yes, I called that years ago, but when they announced this fight, I was like, yo, Ronda's gonna fuck this chick up.
Yeah.
Because
But it's only a matter of time before somebody figures her out, because she was only winning by arm bars.
Yeah. And I mean, she had 2 knockouts like later, but it's like,
Right.
like, where are they? Like, and then I'd been calling for Amanda Nunes to get that fight for a long time, because when she fought Kat Zingano, she was beating Kat, but she gassed out in the third, and Kat got the TKO, and then Amanda she was still fighting, but it's like they just didn't have her out there anymore.
Right.
But it was like, yo, let Amanda get some wins and let her get in there, and like they never gave her opportunity. Holly took that Misha Tate fight, and Misha choked her unconscious, which was like, okay. I was like, I don't want to see another Ronda versus Misha fight.
Right.
I just don't care. Like it's not something that tickles my balls.
Right.
It's like this is one of those fights where I'm like, ugh, Ronda beat her again. But then Misha was like, I'm not gonna wait for Ronda. I want to be a fighting champ. She fought Amanda. She was like, Amanda deserves a shot. And I was like, you're right, she does. Yeah, get it to her. And when she knocked her out, I was like, oh no.
And then there's the run of Amanda Nunes, baby.
Yeah, she's coming back.
Yeah, no, I hear.
So I'm like,
they put her in the Hall of Fame, and she's like, I'm coming back. I'm gonna do it all over again.
It's like, Hall of Famer. Just kidding, I'm back though. Like,
it'd be fun to see what she does, man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, especially with like her and Julianne Pena. Like, look, she made her point. And sure, you can have the trilogy just to settle it, but I don't think that Juliana has anything different that she's going to be able to do to Amanda, because Amanda will just brawl her now and just say, I know you can't strike, so I'm just going to punch your face a lot. Whereas Kayla Harrison was like, oh.
How long has Amanda been out now?
Ooh.
And she retired the champ, right? Double champ.
Yeah. She maybe 2 years now.
Yeah.
A year and a half.
She had to let her kid get a little older.
Yeah, I think they were saying there's some issues, like she was having some leg issues too.
Oh, really?
So maybe she's feeling better now. The kid is older. So let me go out here and beat these broads up some more. Yeah. But that Kayla fight might be real interesting, because Kayla's a gorilla. It's like, if Kayla gets a hold of her, it's like, oh no. Because I thought with the Holly Holm fight, I was like, Holly should be okay.
Right.
She can keep her distance. And Kayla's like, fuck distance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to bum rush you
Right.
and punch you
Right.
a lot. And Holly was like, stop. Why you hit me so hard?
Right.
But it'll be fun. I'm excited for the UFC where it could be going. And the ESPN deal is over. So they are talking to Netflix and Amazon right now. Well, not right now, but
They've probably been talking to him for a few years.
yeah. Like what's the saying is like your girl may not be cheating, but she know who's next. That was UFC. UFC was like, look, we ain't going to them, but we know.
Right.
We know.
ESPN's been having a lot of trouble with we see it every time we get the fights. It lags, it cuts out.
They
I
also,
don't know what's going on there, but they ain't got the.
it's rumored that they're also considering getting away from the pay-per-view format too,
Oh, that'd be cool.
which I'm all for.
Oh yeah, for sure.
$85,
Yeah.
relax. But
What are you going to do about it? What would be the format?
so WWE went away from it a while back. When they opened up the WWE Network, that was kind of the beginning of it. You could still order the pay-per-view if you didn't have the app, but people realized if I get the app for $10 a month,
Right.
because that's
Then
what
you
I
get
would
all
do.
the fights, right?
I would, yeah, you get everything, and that's what I would do. I wouldn't do it all the time because I didn't watch it all the time, but like
Right.
SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Rumble, Mania, those are the ones I was like, I know that's what I want to watch, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna get 2 months
Right.
maybe, and
And right now they're mainly on Peacock, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and they're not even called they're called premium live events. So if they find a home UFC and can set up something like that,
Right.
that I'm always for that.
Well,
'cause I'm trying to pay no extra.
UFC, WWE is all under the same roof now, so
Yes. Yeah, Triple H was actually just on a podcast I was listening to, and they were kind of talking about that, any kind of crossover. And it was like, well, not necessarily like as far as like the talent, but you might see something like a TKO takeover of a weekend. Like,
Right.
on a Saturday night, you have a UFC card, and a Sunday night, you have a WWE card, and then, Monday Night Raw,
Right.
in that same town. So it's like you got a whole weekend of like TKO doing an event of
Yeah.
some
be
sort. So,
I remember when WWF would come here to Baltimore, dude.
well,
I was a kid.
we went to, what was it, SmackDown back in August. So I took Sophie and then my cousin, who just called his daughter. So it was daddy-daughter, night. We went out there, which his daughter, she watches wrestling. She's into it. Sophie kind of watches it. She knows some of the faces. She swears up and down she saw Roman Reigns on the Metro coming up. She's like, that guy was on the Metro. I was like, baby, I promise you, he was not on the Metro. Like, yes, he was. Like, and she still argues with me to this day. I'm like, yo, he wasn't. But like one thing we figured out, the tickets that we bought weren't too expensive. I felt like they were fine. They're under 100 for sure. But when we got there, like, I don't know what prompted me to look at ticket prices in that moment. I was like, oh, these motherfucking tickets are $10 now.
Really?
Because that's how they get their sellout crowds. Because watching WrestleMania, they were talking about, it was a sellout crowd. And I saw an article basically saying, like, or no, it was a YouTube video talk about, like, things you're going to hear them say. You're going to hear them say it's a sellout crowd. And they're like, and part of that is they're going to do everything they can to fill those seats. Meaning those ticket prices will come down if you're not close to a packed house. And I was like, yo, let them come back to D.C. and Baltimore. Because now I know.
Right.
Night of.
Get them at the last minute.
The day of, like, yo, y'all trying to go watch this event. And then, what was it? AEW was just in Baltimore recently. I don't watch that one too often. But Sarah was off. The reason I didn't even go, because it was a Wednesday night. The reason I didn't even consider it, because she usually works.
Right.
And then I find out like 2 weeks before, she was like, oh, I'm actually going to be off that night. And I was like, well, fuck. Like, I didn't, if I would have known that, because some of my teammates wanted to go to that event. And I was like, I can't go because my wife works, and sure, you could get a sitter, I guess. But it's like, no, like, I'm just going to stay home.
Yeah.
But anytime any event comes to Baltimore, it's like it's always in my mind. I was like, should I go? Like that, but that Friday night SmackDown, that's a 3-hour fucking run, and that was a little long. Like Monday Night Raw, 2 hours, I can handle that. With 3 hours, I was like, because even Sophie was like, yo,
Yeah.
like is this shit almost over?
I don't watch too much of that stuff anymore.
I try to like I usually have it on in the background,
Right.
You know, and I'll peek up like after WrestleMania, I watched because it's like, okay, I got to see like how this all unfolds, like what's next. But yeah, a lot of times I put it on in the background, kind of just to like I'll be down here doing some shit. Like right now, there's a UFL on in the background. It's like always have something running, and a lot of times it's usually pro wrestling because it's just an easy go to. I don't have to pay attention to it. It's just there. So, but it's all fun. If they do come back to town sometime soon, maybe take the kid again.
Yeah, we should take the kids up there.
Like make it an event. Like,
yeah, it'd be fun.
Night of.
Yeah.
Like order the tickets like that day of. Like, oh, $10.
Yeah,
I got you. Like we can make this. Like see how close you can get for the cheapest price.
Right.
Because I feel like on the day of they should sing sold, I was like, oh, I could pay $40 to get front row.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's wishful thinking, but I'm gonna try. Like, we'll sort it out, Dana. We'll sort it out.
We'll get there.
But yeah, so Kettlebell World, because I want to talk about that a little bit. And
cool.
We talked last time you were here, because I mentioned, I was like, I think I'm ready, ready to do some of the workouts, because I've been down here, like, run on the treadmill, and I used to have the mats on, like just doing different.
We've done a couple workouts down here.
Yeah. So, but as far as the competitions and everything goes, how's that all going with you all? As far as I think y'all are just recently up in Massachusetts.
Yeah. So April 5th we went to Boston. Well, Somerville, but it's like all the same area pretty much. So yeah, we went up to a competition there, New England Kettlebell Classic. The guy that runs RX Strength Training, his name's Jeff Butterworth. He's a cool ass dude. Very, very high energy. It was awesome competition. But he comes down to, and he brings a big team every year to the All-American Kettlebell Open that we have in October every year. And so I wanted to go up and show some love. I went up and did his live stream, and took a bunch of bells and the platforms and everything up there for him. It was a hell of a competition.
So like with teams though, is it like do you have folks that do it like individually, or is it like teams that you're doing it individually, obviously, but like for instance, our gym for jiu-jitsu, like we're gonna send Crazy 88 up to like Philly to do the Naga, and Yamasaki's gonna send their school up. Is it something like that? Or
so it's I mean, you got kettlebell clubs, right? So you got your lifters out of your club that go to these competitions, and some competitions will have like team awards. Like we really try to promote for the All-American Kettlebell Open team awards. Best team gets a full set of Pro Kettlebell Apollo bells, right? Nice. So a full set of competition bells you get if you win, if your team wins. And typically, I think last year we did it off of we created like a little coefficient type thing for your team. So your team, whatever results they get collectively, we put all the numbers together, and whatever club wins. But also you get, you're doing individual lifts as well. You know what I mean? Like your best male performer or best female performer, most volume lifted by one particular person, things like that. So we try to promote that really team aspect, because it has quite a bit of draw to it,
so like I guess also I'm thinking too is like with the team thing, it isn't just like I just show up and I'm not affiliated with anyone. I'm just like, hey, I want to sign up for this competition. Like
you can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like I think about like Karate Kid,
right?
It's like Cobra Kai, and there's a competition. Then like Danielson and Mr. Miyagi just show up like, Like, hey, we want to do
Well,
this
look,
too.
at the first All American in 2023, we had clubs recruiting all the individuals.
Okay.
You know, hey
Got
man, just be a part of our team. You know, for the day or whatever.
That makes sense.
So,
And for competition, like, how exactly does it work in terms of like, the lifting and the scoring? I guess, so it's like scoring or judging. Like, how does
so
that?
so there's a couple different federations out there, or in our case, we have the World Kettlebell Sport League, which is ran by Dennis Vasilev, and he has a ranking system, like a ranking table. And we've used the IKMF, and that's the International Kettlebell Marathon Federation. So they have tables, and they have, they're the governing body. So we use their rules and their regulations and their ranking tables. So they have weight classes, and for each division, each lift, which goes from male beginner to semi-amateur, amateur, semi-pro, pro, which those divisions are broken up by the weight you're lifting. So let's say in terms of World Kettlebell Sport League, or the International Kettlebell Organization ran by Dennis Vasilev, beginner male starts at 16 kilogram. And then semi-amateur is 20 kilogram. And then amateur is 24 kilogram. And then semi-pro is 28 kilogram. And then pro is 32 kilogram, right? And then within that, you have all your different lifts, which are, your traditional lifts, which is long cycle, which is clean and jerk double bells. Okay. So you're looking at a male would be performing long cycle with 216s if he's a beginner, semi-amateur 220s, all the way up to double 32s. So you got your lifts are long cycle, which is a clean and jerk, double half snatch, which is you swing the bell between the legs and you lock them out overhead. They go straight overhead. And then you bring it back down to the chest, and that resets. So you can go back into the next lift. And then you got jerk, which is you bring the bells up to the chest, called the rack position, and then you go from the rack position to overhead.
Yep.
And then you bring them back down to the rack position to reset for the next rep. And then you got snatch, which is a single bell event, and you're swinging the bell between the legs and one fluid motion over to the overhead lockout. And then it goes in one fluid motion back down between the legs. And then you're just cycling that for repetitions. Okay. And there's 5-minute lifts and then 10-minute lifts. Traditionally, you're doing 10-minute lifts, but, if you're a beginner and, to make it accessible for as many people as possible, there's, options of 5-minute lifts. And then, the IKMF, which is International Kettlebell Marathon Federation, they offer your 30-minute lifts, which is half marathon. So you're doing these lifts for, 30 minutes. And then they offer like lifts such as like single bell lifts, single arm, one arm long cycle. So it's a clean and jerk with one arm, multiple hand changes, things like that, which if I backtrack real quick, back to the snatch, it's typically one hand switch. So if you're doing a 10-minute lift, you're going to snatch on whatever side first for 5 minutes, and then you switch.
Get it.
Which makes it incredibly, incredibly difficult.
Yeah, I remember, seeing you out doing like, and it was for time,
Right.
you're like,
Yeah.
Can you track the time for me, as I'm
Right.
doing these lifts? Like, all right, I got you. And even then in those moments, like watching, it was like, okay, like that's, quite a bit.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot. It's strength endurance. So, it's not like full tension, for 10 to 20 reps. It's find your relaxation.
Yeah.
Have great technique to where you can find relaxation, and you're cycling through these repetitions for a set amount of time. And peak day or competition day would be your 10-minute set. with your training cycle you would be building the volume to get to that, you know.
Yeah, think about growing up lifting weights, and it was always, you know, how much can you bench?
Right.
It's like
totally different.
Yeah,
it's a different game, man. Like I come from that background as well, you know, bodybuilding, or in my case, it was more, I never competed, you know, I never did like strongman or powerlifting or anything like that. I never chased numbers, so to speak. I was always more or less, I like the free weights to build my body for aesthetic reasons, right? I wanted to pretty much look good naked, you know?
You know, that was always the thing growing up, is like chasing the numbers.
Right.
Like I always had the goals, like I want to be able to bench press 300. And I think I got to a certain point in my mind where I was like, why?
Yeah. I
like,
mean,
like, what are we doing here?
There was a day where I was like, particularly when I was in Afghanistan in 2012, you know, I had one of my buddies, his name Ryan Burnt, rest in peace. He got me into that chasing the numbers game. So, and he was that power lifter type, you know. So from him, I kind of chased that 315 bench, you know, 365, 385, 405 on a deadlift, you know, fucking 385 on a squat.
And, you know, it gets to that weird point though. It's like, for what?
Yeah.
You know, like I just saw a picture of Ronnie Coleman, and I showed my wife, and it's like a before and after. It's like showing him when he was like, you know, the man, and now he's in a wheelchair.
Right.
And she was like, what the fuck happened? I was like your body breaks, like, like doing all that. You know, when you're trying to pack on all this muscle, and you know, chasing this whatever it is they're chasing. It's like, whereas, like you said, like, look, I'm just doing this for aesthetics. Like if I look at you, like, I don't look at you like, you know, like this massive like muscles out there here, but like I look at you like, that's a fit dude. Like I'm not trying to fight that dude right now because like he can move. Whereas like you see like those power lifters, you know, or not, I don't even say power lifters, like, power lifters, you know, Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
It's like, oh dog, you can't even clap.
You know, unless you're a guy like Eddie Hall right now, his first MMA fight in the books knocked this dude out in 30 seconds. I mean, that dude's a beast.
And that's the thing. It's like, I always think about it in ideal, like, fighting, essentially. Yeah. It's like, look, if I got to fight, like, the biggest biceps in the world isn't going to do anything for me in fighting. Like, you know, so like we saw this dude at the gym. His fucking this dry erase board, for example, his biceps were as big as like is the dry erase board. And I remember we were like walking by, and like my buddy goes, "The fuck can he do with arms like that? Nothing. He can't shoot a basketball. He can't swing a baseball bat."
You know, it's funny. I think I fell so easily into kettlebell sport because I think about it. Even in my quote unquote bodybuilding days, I always chased high repetitions. So I was a big fan of like German volume training, 10 by 10s, you know, very rarely did 5 by 5s, but I would always do, like, I was more concerned with, can I bench 225 25 times instead of 315 once? Yeah. You know what I mean? So I would do sets of 10 with 225 on a bench. And I would do 10 sets of 10, and I would start out with 135. By set 4, I'm already up to 225, and I'm hitting, you know, the last 6 sets of 10 reps, you know, at 225. And my biggest inspiration for that was, what's his name? Mike Rashad or whatever. Yeah. Just a massive dude. And he used to work out with C.T. Fletcher. So when I would see C.T. Fletcher videos with him, that's where I got that inspiration, was like, because he was always like, who gives a fuck if you can lift 405 once? Can you do 225 for sets of 30? You know what I mean? So that's where, like, even back in the day, like, that was my thing. 10 sets of 10 on the pull-ups, you know, start no weight and then with a 45-pound plate strapped to you. I could do those things. And that was like, you know, my favorite way of training. Dips, same way. Yeah. Start body weight dips. By the end, the final 10 set of 10, I had 2 plates on. You know, that was I mean, still to this day, I'm like, the high repetitions is really where it's at.
I mean, it matters though too, because I mean that's muscle endurance.
Yeah.
I mean, like even like I remember my goddaughter and she was like, "Can you do 50 push-ups?" I was like, "Yeah."
Right.
She was like, like let's do them together. And I got to the 50, but it was exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the cardio to that.
Right.
So it's like, there's the muscle endurance, the cardio to it all. It's like, whereas like, okay, yeah, you can put up 400. And I always think about this with bench press, how silly it was in my brain. It was like, at what point in my life am I ever going to be in a position where I have to push 300 pounds off my body
right.
evenly at that? Like,
right.
perfect world. We eventually got to the point where we were just repping 225, and it was like, we do what, 8 to 10 reps. And I was like, okay, this feels good.
Right.
And then my buddy's like, okay, you want to like go higher? I was like, let's just stay here.
Yeah.
Like, why are we moving any higher?
225 was like my favorite.
Yeah.
Ever.
Like
on squat, on deadlift, on bench. 225. I would work my way up to that, and that'd be my working sets. And I would go, if I wasn't doing a specific thing like 10 reps of, 10 sets of 10 reps, I would be pushing 10 to 15, 10 to 18.
Like the 225 just felt like a good like body weight number, really. I mean, like granted, folks weigh, anywhere from like 180 to like two something. So I'm thinking again about like, grappling, moving people around. I was like, okay, 225 is fine, because if I can do that, then I know I can, move others around. But I remember the moment that 300 number slipped out of my mind. I was like, fuck that number. Yeah. Like, I have no interest in that ever again. And my buddy actually asked me a few years back, he was like, did you ever get to that 300? I was like, I stopped chasing it. It's like, why are we chasing it? And, just kind of in the bigger picture, I was like you said, the volume and the reps is like that muscle endurance is going to be so much more important, for anything. Because like, if let's say, I give you a call, I need some help moving, a couple couches. It's like, all right, well, you got that endurance to do it, to lift it, to move things. Whereas like, well, he can bench press 300 pounds.
Right.
Once. Let's see if he can help me with this couch.
Right.
I threw my back out because, your body isn't formed for, the rest of it. And I think that's where the kettlebell work comes in, because
for sure
it's all of your body.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not just like
all
isolated.
of these lifts, unless you're doing, specific things, like the dynamic lifts are all full body lifts. You're clean and jerk, full body. Jerk, that's a full body lift. Snatch, full body lift. Double half snatch, full body lift. Even if you move into the single bell world, where you're doing pentathlon or something like that, and we'll get into that, but that's all single bell work, but it's all full body work. There are ways to isolate muscle groups with the kettlebell, but really there's no point in it, because where you're going to get your most bang for your buck is these compound movements, know, and chasing the strength endurance aspect of it that's going to give you your best translation to living a better life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I think about it often, why was it so easy for me to get into kettlebell sport? And it's like, well, I've always I chased these high repetition numbers anyway, back in my freeway barbell days.
Yeah.
And that, sorry to cut you off, but that even comes like to landmine training. All the landmine university. Have you seen those? They make these lifts more dynamic now, right? Where you're kind of cleaning and jerking with the landmine. But, back in the day, I would do landmine training as well, but high repetitions, 2-3 plates on there, pressing and doing lateral movements with it and things like that. I've always loved that kind of shit.
Yeah. My buddy, because I text you. I don't know. It might have been last spring, maybe. I know my buddy asked me about kettlebell workouts. He said, "Do you know anything about kettlebell workouts?" I was like, "I don't, but I know a guy who does."
Right.
And and as you're kind of explaining this now, I'm thinking it's like he probably didn't stick with it, probably because he's more like, again, I want to lift the most,
Right.
and not the volume, the endurance of it.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that he's a weak person, in any way, but it's like there's a difference though, and I think he's a lot better because I know he used to have a lot of issues like with his back, his knees, and it's just like I think the way that he's been lifting lately has definitely helped him with that.
Right.
But I think he's still, because we were talking about it, 3 weeks ago. He was like, talk about his bench press, his max, and it's like, I mean, that's cool and all,
Right.
but what can you do, as far as longevity sake goes? I also always balance it down to, again, like, can you out wrestle me? Like, you can't.
Right.
Fuck your bench press. One day he gonna get a hold of me and fucking rip my arm off. Though, and I was like, dude, chill, be friends.
Yeah. So like in 2019, I was, in lifting. I had a Gold's Gym set up, right? I had the little 305 pound, home gym set, right? And I had a couple of the neighborhood dads in here will come over and work out with me. So what I would do, when we would work out, I'd bring the weight bench and the squat rack outside.
I remember seeing that.
They'd come over, they'd help me pull all the weights out, the bar and things like that. And I was just looking at pictures of me from 2019, and I was like this massive dude, right? I had these traps that almost touched my ears. And as far as like aesthetics goes, I looked great.
Yeah, that's a look where you see that. That's like, that's
Right.
a hard worker.
Right. But then I build elevators, and on the job site, I couldn't walk up a couple flights of steps without being winded. Right. So I'm like, man, I gotta get my conditioning back up, so I remember in 2010, I used to do that 300 workout. So in 2010, I was in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and my roommate, his name's Sean O'Brien. He was my workout partner, right? So we'd always work out together. And one day he asked me if I wanted to, try this 300 workout. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And it became like a regular thing. And in that workout had 25 clean and press with a 35-pound kettlebell. You had to do 25 on the right arm, 25 on the left arm, or vice versa, whatever. And I remember that workout absolutely shredding me up. Like, I mean, I was probably, and at that point, the best shape of my life, conditioning wise. So in like 2020, I'm like, all right, I need to start, getting my conditioning back. I'm going to start doing that workout again. Right. So that's where I got myself a little 35-pound, on it monkey bell, it had the monkey face on it. And I started doing that 300 workout again. And I remember the bell just smashing my wrists. I was hurting my wrist real bad.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's got to be a better way to do this, right? So that's where I went on YouTube, and I just went down the rabbit hole on how to clean and press a kettlebell. And then here we are. Yeah. Here we are. I mean, I went down the rabbit hole, and now, like, my whole training philosophy is shifted to 100% kettlebell, dude.
And that's something I always think about whenever I think about workouts and stuff, and specific kettlebell, because I'll see your posts on Instagram and I'll reshare them, which the algorithm is fucking goofy again because I'm not seeing your post anymore, and I'm like, I know he's posting, but it's like I just had this conversation with a previous guest. It was like he's not seeing me in his algorithm. I'm not seeing him. I was like, I know how the algorithm gets a little weird because like, hey,
Right.
if you look at one twerk video, they think you want to see 20 twerk
Right.
videos, and I do sometimes want to see
Right.
20 twerk videos, but like I also want to see jujitsu and workouts specifically. But I thought about that. It was like, yeah, I think. I was like, I'm pretty sure Dana's like all kettlebell from this point.
Yeah.
So I remember, the bench out because like I'm thinking back. So it was like I remember coming over there at one point, and I remember I hadn't benched in a while.
Right.
And
I remember that.
Yeah, shit, I still got it. It was like not much. Like
Right.
I'm doing this shit again, but yeah, I was thinking it was like, when I think about even working out down here, I'll get my barbell and I'll do some squats and stuff and cleans and deadlifts and things like that. And I was like, okay, I feel like there's a bigger benefit in terms of like fluidity with the kettlebell.
Right.
Like, because again, with the barbell, it's very rigid.
Yeah.
It's just very like.
Well, yeah, I mean, with the barbell, you're mainly stuck in that single plane of motion, Whereas with the kettlebell, man, you're training the movement. You're training, and it translates so well to everyday movement in life. You know what I mean? I think today I'm probably in better shape than I was, in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. I'm not as shredded, but, as far as like my conditioning goes, I look good, but I move very well,
I think that's also something too that I don't think a lot of folks connect.
Right.
Is like, sure, you can look good. Do you feel good?
Right.
Like, if you don't feel good, then what the fuck are you doing?
Right. And these are sub-maximal loads too, so you're not putting a whole lot of pressure on the joints or things like that. If anything, you're working them better. You're making the tendons stronger. You're making the joints stronger. I mean, now at work I have zero issues.
Good.
Moving, working. And that was the primary goal was to be more fit for my job instead of just walking around looking like a jacked up animal.
Yeah. If people come into work and see you walk into the building,
they used to fuck with me, man.
Fuck is that?
They used to fuck with me and say, "Oh, he's got his fucking blow up muscles, but wait till we start moving some machines around. He'll be gassed out in 20 minutes." And they weren't lying.
Yeah, that is a fact though. It's like, yeah, you can look the part,
Right?
but it's like, and I think we all come from like that generation of muscle and fitness. So you see the guys getting big, and even looking at pro sports.
Yeah.
Looking at NFL, seeing the guys getting huge, and it's like, okay, that's the thing we should be striving for, is look like that. And it's like, man, once you start really like paying attention to people though, you see, these big guys was like, okay, like they said, you're going to, burn out.
Yeah.
Cause you got to feed, your muscles, you don't have enough fucking energy for the muscles to really work. We even talked about that on the mats. You'll see the big ass dude coming there. Like, and it's always kind of the trope. It's like, bodybuilder goes into gym.
Right.
And it's like, and gets beat by like a fucking 140-pound, dude. And it's like, and granted, that's more about technique versus not. But I mean, also still though, a lot of times the big thing to that is like getting gassed out.
Right.
It's like, you can look like an athlete, but if you can't walk up the stairs without fucking huffing and puffing, if you can't, jog a mile, without gassing out, so then what are you really fucking doing, dude?
Right.
You're cosplaying. You're not even fucking genuinely like, you just want to look like you do the thing. And again, they are working. You don't get bodies like that without work.
Right. It does take some discipline for that too.
Yes.
But how well does it translate to your everyday life? Especially when you live an active life, like like I do. Being in construction it's tough.
Yeah.
It can be hard work. It is hard work. There's a lot of walking, there's a lot of lifting and things like that. So for me, it just made sense.
Yeah. Like I think about that sometimes, not often, but I wonder though. It's like, as people, it's like, how do we get to where we are? Where we got away from that ideal of like, the active life. And I know, a big thing of it is jobs, office jobs. It's killed so much ambition. Entertainment has crushed so much. It's like, it's a Sunday afternoon. I'm just going to sit here on the couch and watch football all day.
Yeah.
You're watching these behemoths who are in excellent shape. And like,
they ain't sitting around watching this shit.
Yeah, they're doing it.
Right.
Actually, a lot of athletes, like football players, basketball players, they don't actually like.
Other than some game tapes for practice.
Yeah, they don't watch the games. They don't care. I could imagine, probably like, Christmas games or whatever, if the guys are off, it's like they're not necessarily watching the games per se. It's like it's a party, it's a gathering for the thing, but they're probably not watching the thing.
Right.
But we as a society, we've gotten so far away from like doing the stuff. It's like, okay, well, and there's lots of like excuses around why not to do the stuff anymore.
Right.
Like things that where they vilify being in shape. It's like, oh, well, you're arrogant. It's
right.
Like, or I just don't want to like be exhausted, walking, to the park.
Right.
Or, like, heaven forbid, some wild shit go down. I want to be able to like, defend myself or escape at least.
All your excuses are lies.
Yeah. Well, and I have to say that to myself
that's
sometimes.
Taking the easy way out, man.
There are times where it's like I come home from work, I'll come down here, and like with my last job, I would get home later, and it's like, fuck, it's a long ass day.
Yeah.
Get home later, have dinner, put the kid down for bed. Once she's down for bed, it's like, ugh, like this sucks.
I get it. I do that too.
Well,
when I work like a 10 or a 12-hour day, and I come home and I got to wrangle up all the kids because I got 3 of them running around.
Yeah.
You got to wrangle up all the kids. Then you throw in sports and jiu-jitsu for the kids. You active, son. And I'm talking like, especially now that my 8-year-old's in jiu-jitsu, she's doing softball Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I try to get, she's in jiu-jitsu and we try to go every Wednesday, so Wednesdays I'm coming home. I'm like, leave me alone for the first hour that I'm home. Let me bust out my workout. I get in, bust out the workout. There's times where I'm running a little behind. So I take a couple bells with me down to the jiu-jitsu gym and I'll step outside. I found out it's damn near a quarter mile around the building of Crazy 88. So 8 laps around that is 2 miles. Get my little 2 miles in, get my kettlebell workout in. And then when she's done, I'm finishing up.
It's about, maximizing that time. It's like, like you said, while she's in there doing that, well, I don't have to be sitting here. I can be working. Like when I get home, especially like, cause now I get home like 4:00 on average. Sometimes I get home a little bit earlier, and I'm a round number starter. Like I can't, like if it's like 4:02, it's like fuck, 4:10, like 4:05.
Yeah,
something. It's like I don't know. This has always been this thing.
It's the brain. It's a brain thing. Yeah.
But like I'll get home like some days like 3:45. It's like that's perfect. It gives me time to go jump into my gear. Get down here, get a bottle of water, and I'll get on the treadmill.
Yeah.
And I'll run it. I'll put on like, part of it is like I'll put on like Vikings, and I'll watch Vikings while I'm running.
Yeah.
And that's the only time I watch it is when I'm on the treadmill. So it's like, kind of like, all right, well, you want to watch the show, you got to go like get on the elliptical.
Right.
Get on the treadmill. Got the exercise bike up in the room. Like you got to be doing something in order to watch these things. I know some folks don't like to work under the reward system ideal. Right. It's like it's not so much reward as much as it's like if I'm going to sit around and watch something, I can still do something. Wow.
I mean, where you got a treadmill and an elliptical right here.
Yeah.
That's 45-minute show. You got 45 minutes on a treadmill.
Yeah, and
whether it's walking or a light jog or
now
whatever.
I'm like really getting into it. So now I'm watching 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? Let's just,
Especially when you're hitting that zone 2 cardio, boy, you can do that for an
yeah,
hour or two.
like what I think I'm gonna, because what happens is I'll do an hour.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is that episode,
Yeah.
the new episode starts, and it's like,
And then it's like, nah, I gotta finish it.
like what are we, what are we gonna go upstairs now and wonder until tomorrow? Well, no, I'm like 15 minutes into the new episode. Just let me keep going. But yeah, it's like there's always an excuse.
Right.
There's always an excuse to not do something, and we're tired.
Yeah.
Joints hurt. Things hurt, and there's always this thing or that thing, and it's like, look, man, all you gotta do is start.
Yep.
And then because that's what I tell myself is like, once you get going, you're fine. Like there have been times where I didn't want to go to jiu-jitsu. It's like, once you're there,
Yep.
once you're on that mat, as soon as I touch that mat, I'm like, ooh, I got this energy.
Right.
And then I get fucking dumped on my head. And I'm like, okay, all right, maybe I wasn't ready. I
Right.
didn't need a face plant like that. But yeah, it's good like hearing this though, because it's like, to me, it's like, you know what? I do things. It's like there's always like tweaking that you could
Right.
do to make your workouts more efficient,
Right.
or better your time with stuff too. Because that's like I said, I come down here, do two episodes of Vikings on the treadmill, or the elliptical. The elliptical is a little hinky, so the elliptical gets weird.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's a weird motion
Dude,
to me.
I got the assault bike, that Rogue assault bike.
Oof.
I'm telling you. I mean, many benefits. There's many different things you can do on it, like interval training and shit like that. But I mainly use it for, zone 2, zone 3. I'm hitting 30 minutes on it, trying to hit a certain, mileage in 30 minutes. So right now my goal is 10 miles in 30 minutes.
Nice,
I just hit like 9.8 on Wednesday, but on Thursday. But that's like, these in between kettlebell workouts, they're great for recovery. These zone 2, cardio sessions at like 30 to 60 minutes. They're great for recovery, man. It's getting the blood flow and just, you're just staying active, even through that. Yeah. Another thing that I've been doing here recently is I picked up one of those O2 trainers.
Nice. How's that working out?
It's fucking phenomenal, dude.
Nice.
It's phenomenal. For the deep breath work,
Okay.
That's where you're training. You're training your diaphragm in this deep breath work, But I've been doing that every morning, and when I wake up, I'll go out to the gym and just sit there. Because the dude Boss
Rutten.
Yeah. He 2 little exercises that he kind of explains to you with the package that you get. And it's not even that expensive. It's like, I think on Amazon for like $20.
Yeah.
But it's like many different ways, you can train this deep breath work, because you want to train your diaphragm, to be able to exhale all. And I got this from, Ricks and Gracie when he was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, everybody breathes so shallow. Everybody breathes at the top of their diaphragm. But when you start getting down into the big, deep belly breaths, that's where all the benefits are. And I'm seeing a big translation to kettlebell sport with that. Because in kettlebell sport, it's all mainly the biggest technique, not only, training the technique of the movement, but it's, the breath.
Yeah.
The breath goes, as cyclical as the reps themselves, and me and Mike was just talking. I'm training this new guy. He just started coming around like a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, we barely even watch the time anymore. It's, trusting the breath. Because we have the breath in sync with the movement, we know exactly how, the reps per minute that we're aiming for. It's all based off the breath.
Yeah.
And having really that, I took this from that Ricks and Gracie is, if you're doing these shallow breaths, then you still got all this old, old used up stuff down in there. And so you're not fully recycling the oxygen that's coming in and out. And the O2 trainer is really helping me with that.
Yeah, I remember years ago hearing about it, and I remember always thinking like, yeah, pick up O2 trainer, and it just, distractions, forget stuff, move on to other things, and like as soon as you mention, like, oh my god, like what the fuck, I forgot about that.
It's so cheap, dude. Like if you got $20, go on Amazon and get it.
Oh, heck,
and
I got a lot of action figures down here, Dana.
I know, bro.
Like, you don't got to say it like that. You're like, if you got $20 and you look around, it's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, don't call me out.
Take a couple of these action figures down to the pawn shop.
Oh shit! Actually, I just ordered a figure. Hold on. Well, I think I got another 20. But
dude, this is like the best setup ever. Oh, yeah.
There we go. O2 trainer.
Yeah.
There we go. That's it. But yeah, it's like when I think about any kind of workout, anything, just movement, period. It's like, why not? It's like I said, there's so many excuses why not to do it, and it's like, but why not do it? Because that's kind of the big thing for me. It's like if I say, like, oh well, like I'm a round number starter, so it's like, fuck, it's like 412. Right, start at 415. Right, shit, I can't. 417. Okay, but,
that's some real ADHD shit going on.
It's a trust me, it is a problem. It is a legit problem because like I'll get down here and I'll have like my chest strap on, and I'll have it set here to my phone. Then I'm looking at the treadmills, like I got to start them at the same time.
Yeah. I'm that way too, though. Like I do the same thing with the polar. I have the polar chest strap.
Yeah. Yep.
Especially when I'm on the bike, I have to have them synced up. If not, I got to restart it.
Dude, like there's one day.
If I look up and the bike's on 7 seconds and I look down and the fucking polar app's on 5 seconds, I'm like, let me redo this.
Yeah, that happened to me a couple weeks ago. I was like, oh fuck, but it was like slightly off, and I'm just so like OCD about it. It was like it has to be on. It was like this was like
OCD shit.
A slight tick ahead, like, but there's still like 1, 2, but this was like
just one transfers the 2 before the other one transfers the 2, and you can see it, And, I know. And
then it's not so bad with the show anymore, but it used to be also it all had to be like, if that's 45 minutes, the start.
Yeah.
But now I'm a little better about the show. It's not that deep anymore. But with the treadmill and the chest strap, they have to be in sync because if not, it fucks with me because now I know. And if I'm running, like if I'm like, okay, I'm running. All right, now I got to transition to 3 miles per hour. Like I'm gonna do like a little bit of a brisk walk. I have to hit it on that 0 because if you fuck that up, now when it ends, you're going to be at like 6 mile or 5.99, and it's like, shit, I need that at 6 miles. I need everything how it is. I should probably really talk to my therapist about this, but I don't think that she, it's not that she can't help me with that, but I think she's just like, you've had bigger problems. Like you're right, I do have bigger problems, but this is the problem in front of me right now is these fucking numbers.
Right.
I was like that's why I had to leave my last job. It was like numbers. Like, hey, we need you to hit this number. And I was like, okay, so I can.
I mean, you see how
but I'm not.
I have my things set up on your desk. Everything's dress.
Yeah.
It's square. That's how things are set up in my little gym space at the house. Look, my gym space at the house is the only off limits place for the kids. Like they can come in there and be with me and all that stuff, but they're not allowed to go in there like when I'm not in there, right? And it's because for me, it's the only space in the house that I can control, right? Because 100%, if I had it my way, the whole house would be dress. Everything has a place, and I blame the military for that. Blame my uncle that raised me, growing up, because he was a military dude. He kind of instilled that in me from a very young age. But I can tell when somebody's been in my area. I'll come home from work and I'm like, "Wow, who's been in here?" Like she's like, my wife Kirsten would be like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, somebody's been in here because this is melted off.
Yeah, this
and
is moved.
This is just slightly off. And she's like, you're fucking crazy, dude.
It's a thing though, because like down here, I'm a little bit looser now, but it's like specifically with the figures. Like I know where everybody is.
Right.
I know how everybody's set. If something's off, and sometimes things fall.
Right.
That like the fucking fuse box or whatever is like right there, and to get there, I mean, there's a path.
Right.
But from time to time, Sarah comes out there and she's not thinking like, don't bump the Avengers table.
Right.
But I come down here and, look at that. Hawkeye's on the ground. Why is Hawkeye on the ground? Or if she picks Hawkeye back up, Hawkeye's a little askew.
And I'm like, not in the perfect spot. Then.
Yeah. And it's just like everything has to be a certain way. When I'm down here recording, like I always have to have the lights, have things dim. Usually if I have my notes set up, everything's set right here. And it's set to an angle where I can see the guests on the screen, but I can also still see the outline without them seeing that I'm looking at the outline. Right. So it's like things have to go in a certain order for, us to function. Yeah.
Peace of mind.
I mean, it's like, it just feels right.
Right.
It's like,
well, also it's like, I don't want to think about where something's at. I already know where it's at.
Yeah,
it's right there. Like I can tell you exactly. Like I have this right here on the desk. Just look right next to the blase blah.
Like when I go places, I try to leave it as if you would never know that I've been there.
Yeah.
So like when I go to 7-Eleven to get coffee, I get my coffee. I get right next to the trash thing. I get my sugar, rip over top of the coffee. So that way, if anything falls out, it falls into my coffee. Paper, I put my sugar in. Then I get the stir. I grab a lid, stir. Now I take the stir and put it on the lid over top of the trash and go. It's like, it's this thing where, leave shit how you found it.
Right.
Type idea.
That's going to be the hardest thing for me when I finally open up the gym. It's going to be because I know people ain't going to leave it how they it's just, it never works out that way.
No.
So that's going to be the hardest adaptation I'm going to have to go through is that, because I just foresee me being that guy. As soon as they put a bell down or something, they walk away from the platform, I'm running over there to get it back. How I think it should look.
It's like this thing, because I always tell my daughter this. It's like I've always said this to her since she's a kid. She still doesn't get it. The floor is not a table.
Right.
She'll leave something on the floor. And like, look, when I was growing up, my mom would have just threw that shit away.
Right.
Lucky for you, I'm not her.
Right.
But the floor is not a table. So if you pick something up, put it back where you found it. That's just always my rule. Is put it back where you found it. And if you don't, then you have the intent of keeping it, like this, whatever it is, lighter to light the candles.
Right.
This is from upstairs. But I let them know, like, it's coming out here. I have candles down here. It will be down here, right there on the table.
Right there.
It's that simple. If you take it back, it goes back upstairs then, right next to the candles.
Right.
Like, it's like things have a place.
Everything has a place.
Like, as soon as you, like, that moves from here to over there, there's no reason for it to be at the fucking TV.
Like,
why is it at the
like
TV?
Something as simple as the hairbrush. Okay?
Yeah.
Number one, there should be multiple, especially when you got 3 people in the house using them.
Yes.
But like every once in a while, my hair's long enough to a point where I like to brush it over. So I bought a specific brush for me, right? And I keep it on the dresser. Well, it's no longer my brush. It's a communal brush. Everybody uses it.
Of course.
But when I go to use it, it's never there. And then I'm like, where's the brush? And I'm like, which one of y'all took it? It'd be in the bathroom or upstairs or something like that. And I'm like, the brush belongs right here. Leave it here. You use it, you put it back.
It's not that hard. It's
right.
Like, it's funny because I think about, like, now that I'm really thinking about most of the stuff here, it's like, I'm very individualized. So all my stuff is so different from theirs as far as like what my hobbies are, what my interests are. You know, so it's like there's not a lot of stuff that cross.
Right.
Like again, the candles being one of the few things. It was like, okay, there's a discussion about this lighter. It goes here or it goes there.
Right.
You don't go anywhere else. But then like my daughter's starting to get into comics now a little bit, so she wants to read some of my comics. So I was like, okay, there are a lot of rules
Right.
to looking at my comics.
Indeed.
Like
Comics are sacred.
like if you're gonna do this, like take it out of the bag, you know, you read it, read it in one sitting. Don't read it and then set it to the side.
Right.
Don't read it, be done, put it back in its bag, put it back in the box down here.
See, for me,
That's
it's
simple.
where you pull it off of the shelf is exactly in order where it goes back. Because you know I got a ton of comics too, and it's like and a ton of books. But when the kids want to see, you know, pull a book out,
Yeah.
I'm like, when you put it back, it goes right back exactly where you took it out, not at the end of the row,
Not
It
in the
goes-
front.
You gotta split the books back and put it back
Like
because my comics are definitely in order.
even to the point where it's like, look, if you take this book out, pull one up, so that way you know where it goes and you don't have to go searching. But it's going to be right there, so you know it goes right back in the spot. Like that's very important shit. And I, you know, why other folks don't get it, I don't know. It's like, look, it's, and you know, I'll say it, you know, for myself here. It's like, and I make it very clear to the family. It's like I'm very particular about certain things because, again, like you said, I don't want to have to look for something.
Right.
If it's where it should be, I don't have to look for it.
Right.
You know, the computer is usually either here or in that bag, which is upstairs with me. You know, if I'm going to work upstairs, it's one of two spots. There's nowhere else. Shouldn't be in the living room. Shouldn't be over there.
Right.
Like, you know, whatever it may be. Yeah. If I had my way of controlling the chaos,
Right.
it's like you know, you like you never know anyone was in that living room because it's like, yeah, we don't
Exactly.
do shit in this room. Like,
Bro, I learned long ago that I have to release that control.
yeah.
So that's why I'm like, if you just allow me to have my one little space, which is my gym area at the house. This is the area that I absolutely can control, so I can keep it exactly how I want it. The rest of the house,
yeah,
it's for the kids.
yeah. I gave up
Because it's so hard going behind the kids, man.
the basement. For the most part, it's like right now it's in shambles just because like I have too much shit.
Right.
There's just too much shit. Like I cleaned up like a couple months back. I was like, okay, I got it in order. I was like, I got too much shit in this corner, and then you start fucking with the shit. But like Sarah will come in here. Like I think she had a call this morning, so she came down here, did her call, and then the laundry room was there. But it's rare that she comes in here, other than like when she does the gi, she'll come hang it on the treadmill to dry. But other than that, it's like, yeah, this is like my control station. It's like this is where I know, like it, like because there's no discussion.
Right.
Like any of the pictures out on the wall, there's no like, maybe you shouldn't put that there. Maybe you should put this one. No, this is my space. I'm supposed to paint down here. I get distracted.
Right.
It's like there's so many different other activities that come to my mind. What I need to do is just actually go to fucking Home Depot, buy the paint. Well, no, because how that's gonna go is I'm gonna have the paint sitting there for like 2 years.
No. See, what you need to do then is go get the paint and then come home and start painting right away.
Yeah, like do it with intent.
Right.
Well, and that's what I did something recently, but it was like with intent. I went and got it and came right home and started doing it. Versus like, okay, well, I'll get to this tomorrow. You know, because the backyard we're gonna start. I think we're gonna put down some new grass back there. It was like,
nice.
okay, well, let's get that. But once we get it,
You got to do it right
yeah,
away.
we got to start because there's no like, oh, you know, I completed a task. I went and got it.
Yeah.
Like, because that's how a lot of
Then
brains
it's
work.
going to be 3 weeks before you get back to it.
It'll be another season before you
Right.
get back to it. It's like,
Next thing you know, that grass done made a mound right there.
yeah, the
And
grass
that's where
then
it
started
took hold.
growing out of the bag.
Right.
It's like, God damn, like, what are we doing here? But yeah, it's like there's so many things where it's like you just gotta just go.
Yeah.
Like, and I know I have people that always tell me like, just start, and like again, a round number starter. I can't just start, but it's like if I intend to get something and start something, I got to do it because as people, a lot of times what we do is like, again, I got the paint, I completed the task.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Like you got the tools for the task. You didn't complete the task until you've painted. But like that's the ideal is like I want to paint down here Gotham gray, like a dark gray.
Nice.
At least on the top. The top. Because I don't know what this shit is. Like I think you can paint because it looks like they've painted over
See
it.
where the way my mind works. If you do dark gray up on the top, you got to go black on the bottom.
So like that. Well, so I think what I'm going to do with black, we'll do the stairwell,
and then your trim in there could be yellow. Oh shit, son!
I think I'm going to go that outside area right there where the stairs are, all black.
Yeah,
just for the sake of being creepy, just fucking with people, and then gray around the top part. I don't know what we're going to do with the bathroom, if we're going to do anything with the bathroom, because that's also the one room I know for a fact,
right?
No one touches. It's like I don't know what the fuck kind of cheap bullshit toilet paper they use upstairs, but like we use the Cottonelle down here. Like I care about my guest. Okay,
Bro.
Some dude wipes down here. Like upstairs.
Kirsten stopped sending me to the store to get toilet paper. Because so I'll get it from like BJ's or Costco, whichever wholesale place I'm going that time. Every time, the past 3 times, I get single ply. I just go and grab a big old thing of it and I throw it in the cart. And she's like, "Why every time you get single ply?" And I'm like, "Is that single ply? I thought that was the good stuff." But I don't pay attention. I just grab and go.
So for someone, myself, who doesn't need to use the toilet paper because I have a colostomy and everything, I shouldn't really care.
Do you have a butthole?
I do have a butthole.
Nice.
I just don't use it.
Oh.
It's just there. I think when I was little, they actually tried to sew it up.
Oh, shit.
Because they didn't know anything about all this. They're just
Right.
like he's not going to use it, just sew it up.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think that's how the human body works.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure what the butthole is for if you're not pooping from it, but it's just there.
You might still need it to release some gases, maybe.
I guess, probably.
Maybe.
I mean,
I
don't know. I should Google
I'm not a doctor.
I should Google it one day, but it's like, well, because I'm in a bunch of groups with like people with colostomies and like, all types of different topics come up, but that's never come up.
Right.
Like,
Whether or not you have a butthole.
Hey, what do you do with your butthole? Like, cause I don't even want to ask that question on the internet, though. I was like, what do you do with your butthole? Well, I mean, it's a little personal, but it's like, no, I don't want to know what you put in it. Like, that's not what I mean. I meant, like, is it just there?
Man, we were watching, the youngest, Grayson, he watches Spidey and Friends, right? Little tiny cartoon show.
Yeah.
And little Spidey the other day, me and Kirsten's in the kitchen, and he goes, little Spidey says, "That's the tightest butthole I've ever seen." And I'm like, what? It's because you see a lot of buttholes. Like, that is the strangest thing I've ever heard come out of that cartoon.
Hey, what the fuck?
Maybe I heard it wrong, but I'm pretty sure he said that's the tightest butthole he's ever seen.
Guess I haven't watched enough Spidey and Friends then to even have crossed that one.
Right.
It was like, okay, I don't know what the fuck they be talking about on Spidey and Friends, but
I know.
Maybe I need to start paying attention. Like,
or maybe he said that's the tightest butt I've ever seen. I don't know. It was something.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what?
like, oh wait, hold on. Like, Mary Jane on an episode, is it? Like, what the fuck y'all doing? But yeah, it's like down here. I try to make sure it's like, look, guests come over. It's like, okay, like this is good toilet paper. I don't know what's good toilet paper or not.
Yeah.
But I always just assume like the fluffy toilet paper was good toilet paper.
I probably just shoot for the cheapest shit. That's probably why I just end up with the single ply all the time.
And in my mind, that's normally where I go with most stuff.
Right.
I go to Ollie's and say, what y'all got?
Right.
And they're like, we've got this. That seems to work. Like my Swiffers, I get them from Ollie's.
Right.
Some of the action figures, they're on discount at Ollie's. I go to Ollie's and get them there. They're like $10 instead of $25.
Right.
I what did I get there? Cutlery, shit like that. It's like, oh, well, it's a knife. It's going to cut my food.
Right.
I don't need to go pay $100 when I could pay $6
Yeah.
for a knife. But like when it comes to toilet paper, in my mind, it's like I feel like I should pay a little bit more for the toilet paper.
Right.
Just in case, because I don't want people to like come down here, use the bathroom, and then leave and start judging me like, yo, this motherfucker got cheap toilet paper in this bathroom, yo. It's bad enough if it's a little closet anyway.
There's some porta johns on job sites that have better toilet paper than me. And I'm like, dang.
Someone, I can't remember who it was. Someone came down here, we were recording, and they go in there and they're like, oh, dude, he's got dude wipes. It's like, all right, well, I guess he's not going to leave talking shit about me.
Right.
Like, dude, that was like one of the best bathrooms I've ever been in. Yeah, never mind, like, I couldn't fit in there. It was like porta potties are fucking bigger than my bathroom.
Right.
But at least I got like dude wipes and like good toilet paper.
Right.
And decent soap, and my water's blue. Like, because I'm a child. I like turn that water green sometimes.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I am dehydrated, but the water's green.
You can make your pee green all the time if you drink that methylene blue.
I mean, I would, but
and if you drink enough of it, it'll be damn dark blue.
I'd consider that, but I'd freak out. Like, yo, what is like? Well, there was one time in my last job. I don't know what was going on. I went to the bathroom and I sneezed.
Did you pee a little?
While I was peeing, I sneezed. And then I started bleeding from my dick.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, yo, what the... Like, I freaked out. I was like, that's
weird.
That's not supposed to come from there.
No, that's weird, bro.
And, you know, I guess I never went to get it checked out because, you know, you tell your doctor you're bleeding from your dick that, you know, they want to put something in there. I was like, I don't think I'm in for this today.
That's scary.
But it turned out I was okay.
Good.
You know, by the end of the day, it was a regular old piss.
Mm-hmm.
But now, anytime I got to sneeze, I don't.
I'm trying to hold it.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? We're not going to sneeze while peeing because last time I did that, it came out bloody. So for anyone out there, just know that if you've got to sneeze while you're peeing, don't do it. Now, I feel like in history, I'm not the only one. Like other people have sneezed while peeing.
I don't think that's ever happened to me.
Well, no, I mean sneezing while peeing. Though.
Right,
It's like,
that's what I mean.
But I mean, you know, it's like it's something else I need to Google now. Like, yo, have you ever like pissed blood after sneezing? Like, what the fuck?
Or
is
during?
Like, are you okay? I don't think I'm okay.
You ruptured something.
I mean, it was a powerful sneeze. So to be fair, it wasn't like a little like, you know, tiny sneeze. It was a big sneeze,
Right.
which is rare for me. It was allergy.
Are you one of those guys that?
Oh no.
I'm a full on.
No, like you would know I sneezed, but this one was like louder than usual, and I was like, "Holy shit, what happened there?" Normally, like if I sneeze, you know it's a sneeze.
Like some people they'll sneeze, they'll go.
Oh nah, like I'm judging.
Yeah.
It's like, like make yourself known. Like, don't fucking come around here.
See, I'm also the guy. If I sneeze once, I'm sneezing like 10 more times.
Oh yeah,
in a row.
I'm getting at least 3, maybe 4 out, and then I'm good. But like, it's rare that it's just one. And if it is just one, it was some weird like tickle or whatever. But like, it's usually 3 at minimum. And it's like, okay, whew, feel better now. You know, but you know, you will know it's a sneeze. It's not one of those like, what the fuck was that little sound you just made?
Right.
It's like I told Sarah the other day, like, you know, we grew up in that culture of like picking on each other. So it's like, that's blood in the water. You got a weird sneeze. It's
right.
like, oh, like we're getting you. There's a little kid here in the neighborhood that's been fucking with Sophie. They're friends, but every so often he fucks with like Sophie a little bit and she gets upset. And I was like, yo, you're nicer than I am.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you mean? It was like, yo, he's got a lisp.
Yeah.
That's blood in the water. If you got a lisp and you're picking on me, you're not gonna ever want to come outside again.
Yeah.
Like, and Sarah's like, don't tell her that. I was like, no, it's all right. She's really nice. She's a nice kid. She's not gonna do it. Like she feels really bad, you know, about like just things. And it's like, but that little dude like made Sophie cry. And I was like,
yeah. Well, that's the whole point I put. That's the whole reason we got Lana in jiu-jitsu now, because she's only 8, dude, and she's dealing with, well, she was. We ain't had no issues in a couple of weeks, but there's a little 11-year-old at the neighborhood park.
Of course.
You know, getting in my kid's face and just, you know, tormenting her.
Yeah.
And, you know, when my kid comes home and tells me she didn't feel safe we got to do something about it. I had to go talk to some parents and, you know,
that's always the thing.
explain some things to my kid, and then, you know, put my kid in jiu-jitsu, because now it's like we're going to, you know, you can build that confidence up.
Like, how's it going for her? How is she liking it?
Dude,
so
she
far?
loves it, man.
Good.
I can't remember, you know, you got the main coach, Ronnie.
Yeah, Coach Ronnie. Yeah.
Coach Ronnie, and then the other two.
I don't know who might be there now. Maybe Kai?
I can't remember their names. But they always got, you know, nothing but great things to say.
Good.
So, like last week, the not Coach Ronnie, but one of the other coaches come out, and he was like, dude, Lana is such a fast learner. And she's like naturally more dense than most other 8-year-olds. You know, she's not like a big girl, but like she's dense.
Yeah, she's not flimsy,
yeah,
like falling
she's
over.
Dense, right? And, you know, they're just like, we give her some instructions, she learns it, and then, you know, she's taking kids down and using her weight really well.
She always seemed like she was like a physical learner.
Yeah.
Which is good for jiu-jitsu,
Yeah, for
especially.
Sure.
So good.
Yeah, that's why I got her in all these active sports, man. You know, softball for team aspect, and then now to jiu-jitsu. She's doing really well.
Yeah, like when I told Sarah that you all got Lana in there, then she started asking about it. Because I've been talking about putting Sophie in jiu-jitsu for years, but also, too, there's kind of that weird thing of like, I didn't want to do it too early.
Right.
Because I don't want to get burned out and hate it. But I don't want to wait too long before it's like, it's just that weird thing now of her doing it. But now Lana's in there. It's like, okay, this. Yeah. And Sarah even kind of was like, this might be an opportunity. And theater is ending very soon for her.
Nice.
I want to say May 17th is the show. And then, like, now I'm thinking, it's like, you know what? I think I might just do it myself and just like, look, we're going to go in. And, you know, I'll talk to Sophie and, you know, see how she feels about it. Because the thing is, like, I can't teach her jiu-jitsu, because that's what people are always like, well, why don't you just teach her? It's like, I can't.
It's different.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, to her, it's fun time with dad.
Right.
Which it should be fun, but.
Because I'm a big ball player, you know, from youth, peanut league all the way, you know, I played, you know, all the way through high school, and, you know, baseball, and, you know, I played some league, you know, in the Army and shit, softball.
Nice.
But my wife was like, why don't you be the coach? And I'm like, sounds fun in theory, right? Sounds good in, you know, on paper, but especially my daughter, she needs that instruction from someone else.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of like my wife. I can tell her all day long what to do in the gym, in one ear out the other.
Yep.
But if somebody else tells her, you should do this, same, it could be verbatim exactly what I say, and she takes it and she's like, so and so said this, and I'm like, I've been saying that.
That shit kills me. Like I'll say some shit and it's like, okay, cool.
Right.
They don't do it, and then someone else says exactly, and
then
it's
what
like,
it is.
What the fuck? Like,
but yeah, I mean, especially like softball, jiu-jitsu, all this leadership type training that she's going to be gathering over the next few years. Like, for me, it'll be better coming from someone else. Whereas she gets to watch me do what I do, you know, whether it be, you know, the discipline of staying in the workouts or staying fit, getting up early, going to work every day. You know, these are the things she's going to learn from me, you know, just by watching me.
Yeah.
You know, but when it comes to like gathering leadership information and, you know, learning to be a follower first, you know,
it's is so important.
Yeah. Right. It's going to come from, you know, other great coaches and great teachers.
Like, I don't think a lot of people understand that it's important to learn how to follow directions, follow lead first before you just jump out there and say, I can lead the group, or
Right.
I can do this. It's like you have to, because that helps you to understand. Like as someone who's taking instruction, someone that's listening to your leaders, it helps you understand now,
Right.
as a leader, what they're going through because you were there.
Yeah. And also as as a young follower, you kind of you start to learn early on that everyone has something to teach you. Whether it's something good or something bad, you have something to take from everybody, right? And in your course of becoming a leader down the line, you can now pick little traits, because that's all you're going to do is, I liked what this leader did. I didn't like what this leader did.
Yeah.
I liked what this role model did, whatever. And then that develops you as your own person that's going to be that leader or role model to someone else.
Yeah, that's something with Sophie right now in theater. Like you see that shaping.
Yeah.
From what she's picking up from the other kids and in the coaches and stuff. And I've had people say to me, why don't you get her in jiu-jitsu, all these other years? And it's like, well, she's doing these other things right now. And for me with her, with jiu-jitsu, it's like, I would like for her to like go into it understanding, what this is versus, and I know everyone has a different view on it.
Right.
Some folks are like, start your kid at 3, some start your kids at 4, starting at this age. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I think for the understanding of my own child, it's like it's better to let her do her other stuff and kind of get this discipline from these other things, and then come there now where she kind of now has an understanding of how to follow rules, follow directions, and listen to the coach's instruction versus coming in and because I was that kid that had a lot of problems following directions and understanding. Like I have that problem now in jiu-jitsu. Like coach would say something. That's why I record when they're like saying anything. I just have my phone out and recording it. And I still missed it. And I was like, okay. But now I can go back home and watch. Say, okay, that's what I messed up on.
Right.
But with the ideal of like kids being in jiu-jitsu, especially now, like you said, she's, having some 11-year-old giving her a hard time. It's like, the one thing I always find with jiu-jitsu, and at least personally to myself, it wasn't even so much about it teach me how to defend myself physically. It gave me that confidence to say,
right,
I don't want you in my face.
Right.
Like, because there's like kind of this fallback plan. It's like, I can talk this down, but if it gets physical, I know I can also like defend it as well.
And we were just talking, having this conversation with Lana literally last night while we're cooking dinner. It's like, because she, there's this other kid who pushed her, and she's like, what do I do? And I'm like, number one rule, if you can get away, you remove yourself from the situation. If this person impedes your path and you have no means of escape and they put their hands on you, you have every right to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And, that's the whole thing with her being in jiu-jitsu. It's her developing the confidence on what to do and when to do it. Because I'm a big fan of there's a time and place for everything.
Absolutely.
Right. So if you can get away from a fight, fucking get away from it. Because there's no matter what, when you fight, somebody's getting hurt. Whether it's going to be you or them or whatever, So if you can get away, get away. The only time you really should be is when there's no chance to get away.
Yep. That's always been, kind of my feeling. Well, I don't want to say always.
Right.
In later years, it's been my thing. Is like,
if
I can avoid it, I will. If I could walk away from it, I will. But if you corner me, you give me no choice other than to defend myself.
Right.
Then I'm going to do what I need to do to get to the next step because, like I said, there's a confidence.
Yeah.
And being able to say, I don't like what you're saying to me or what you're doing to me. I don't like that you're, causing conflict, whatever. But if they can't respect those words,
Right.
understand that if I have to physically, remove myself from the situation, remove you from the situation, I'm more than capable of doing it, and I'm confident in my ability to do it.
Right.
I think that's something. I think that's something our society needs to understand. Period.
Yeah. Another thing I told her too was a lot of times, a bully is gonna push themselves on you and things like that. But if you stand up and you stand tall and you should, like, for instance, like a bully wants to talk trash and get in your face, right? Well, the second you show that bully that you ain't going nowhere and you say, and you stand up and you use directness, a lot of times that bully's gonna be like, oh shit. And they're gonna either cower or back away or whatever. And then, there are those cases where a bully ain't gonna stop until a bully is dealt with,
I was
a, not to cut you off, but I was a not a victim, but I was a person in that situation, in high school. So I was born in Baltimore, moved down to North Carolina, was down there for a number of years, and then I moved back to, the county area up here. And I was down there long enough to develop a very Southern accent, right? So when I come back up here and I'm getting to the high school up here, I had this Southern accent, and this kid in particular just would not stop with me. But I kind of explained, I told my daughter about this, like I've dealt with this before, and there's avenues that you have to take first. Like you do all the things that you're supposed to do first. Like my uncle told me, you come to me, then we go to the school. We let the school know, nobody did anything about it, and then this kid one day at the lunch table hit me in the face with a fucking milk carton. I didn't do anything about it. And then he hits me in the face with a tater tot. I still did nothing about it. I sat there with my fucking head down, the whole table's laughing at me, and I just scarfed down my food. The bell rings, get up to go to class and put my backpack on. And of course the lunch tables are all these long tables, so it's like this one little path to get out, right? A bunch of kids behind me. I go to get out of the fucking, the table area, and he stands in front of me and he pushes me, and he's got everybody laughing at me, and he was like, see, I told you he wasn't going to do shit. Well, right then and there, I dropped my backpack and I did what I had to do, I had literally done everything on the list. Told my uncle. We told the school. We told the counselors. Nobody did anything. Nobody stopped it, So I was in this position where I had no other choice. And, the outcome was not good, I ended up, not a brag, but I ended up hurting the guy pretty bad,
As it should be.
Right. So, he tried to sue me. The school, suspended me for 3 days.
Right.
I get back from the suspension, and my locker was literally full of notes from kids around the school thanking me for beating up the school bully. So I took these letters when we went down for the hearing, because it got put into the court system because of the kid tried to sue me, right? So it literally got thrown out because I had all these fucking letters from kids around the school, So, and then nobody fucked with me after that.
Oh, that's currency.
You know what I mean? Like sometimes that's all you got to do.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you have those bullies that
Right.
it's like, they're not prepared for it.
Right.
They
Right.
think, oh, I can pick on this person, and they're not going to do anything until they do.
Right.
Like I was the bully and I was the bullied. I was the kind of bully though that I was prepared.
Yeah.
Like I was looking for the fight.
Yeah.
So remember one of my buddies said to me, it was like, you never picked on certain people. It was like the smaller people.
Right.
It's like, it was like I picked on the people I thought would fight back.
Right.
And it turned out they wouldn't. But then this was kind of a turning point in my brain. It was like, what are you doing, Dante?
Right.
Like, you're going to pick the wrong one day. And they're going to fuck you up. So, like, I had to get out of that mindset. But I remember also being picked on a lot. And with that, it just became kind of like a, you know what, just don't even stress it. You know, if they want to make it a problem, they can make it a problem. You know, you give them the problem. I just talked to my buddy's podcast about a situation back in high school. There was a big group fight, and that was with the quote unquote wrong group, people that weren't at our school, and a bunch of people from our school got their asses beat. And I didn't hear the things being said. I'm hearing now from my buddy, you know, as we're talking about this 30 years later, just about people talking about getting me. And I went to school with no thought of any issue.
Right.
Because there are many scenarios in my mind. One of which, if you touch me, I'm going to touch you back. And if it's a bunch of you, someone's going with me. Someone's getting hurt too. That's just the way it is. But also my other thing too is like, I'm the quiet kid.
Right.
What the fuck you look like jumping the quiet kid?
Right.
Like the nice guy. Like, because this high school now, I am like kind of off to myself. I'm reserved now. But, you know, it's that thing of like people having to impose themselves. And if they're not ready for that, they think you're not going to do anything. But the second you do, then they're like, they want to play victim. Like they're trying to sue you. It's like,
well, that's what I was telling Lana. Like sometimes all you got to do is just show a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Like who, you know?
Like,
and then a lot of times they'll be like, my bad.
You know, sometimes you'll also get too, and it's a weird thing because it's like you get the bully that's picking on you when you show that, you know, you're not scared of them, then they become your friend.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, huh. And honestly, even with that, you end up influencing them to not be as much of a dick. So, you know, there's so much benefit to having confidence in your youth, especially. And you know, with you know, Lana being in jiu-jitsu, I think, because like as soon as you mentioned it to me, and I've mentioned this before in the past, so too, I was like, I think she will thrive.
Oh, she,
like,
dude, she loves it, man. Like she's like after every class now, I think she's in like her 5th or 6th one, you know,
nice.
And it's like we go to leave, and she's like, I don't want to leave. This is so much fun, and I'm like, we'll be back. You know, we only got the minimum package. So it's like 5 classes a month. So we go, you know, every Wednesday. And if we can throw in that 5th one, we'll throw in that 5th one. Good. So.
Like I think, after theater, I'm going to talk with mine and like see what she wants to do. And I think also that would be helpful for both of them. Yeah. Like as they are friends, it's like, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, have them there. I know, you know, for Sophie, she'll be excited. You know, okay, I know someone here. Lana's here.
Right.
Like, Sophie's kind of a social butterfly, though. Anyway, she just like she's not like I was as a kid. Right. She sees people in the neighborhood. She's just talking to people. It's like, oh, you gotta chill. You can just be like, some people don't want to be talked to.
For a long time, man, I was like that little in my little shell. Yeah. You know, I've gotten much better in the past, you know, while. You know, breaking out of that, especially now being, you know, in kettlebells is like, I'm still a reserved person, but like, I can be social, you know.
Yeah, it's like with doing this podcast and stuff. Like even with jiu-jitsu, I'm still very like I go to the gym. I'm about my business. I go in there, I train, and. You know, I might hang around after sometimes, but not too often. It's usually if I am hanging around after, it's just so I can kind of recover and leave.
Right.
But like with the podcast, I do find myself being a little bit more social, you know, because of the nature of the game.
Right.
And even when teammates find out, oh, you're the host of the podcast. It's like, yeah, you want to be a guest?
Right.
And then, you know, I've had some teammates come on I've never spoken to ever, have them on the podcast. And it's like, you know, now, you know, now we're cool. We see each other at the gym. It's like, yo, what's up, man? How you been feeling? Somebody saw the sweatshirt out in Baltimore and was like, yo, like, are you the host?
That's
Like,
cool.
because the way the dude was looking at me, like, I thought this was about to be something. I was like, yo, I'm just drinking a Jack and Coke, son. Like, you're in Baltimore. You young. I'm old.
Right.
Like, my hip hurt right now. I ain't trying to fight. Like, yeah. I'm
Yo, my hip really do hurt right now.
Dude. Yo, the fucking hips, yo.
I slept wrong last night.
I think in training, I'm nursing a few different injuries. Well, the knee is better. The knee feels so much better. I'm just nervous about it right now, so I'll go back Friday night. I've been doing Saturdays where it's like an older crowd and it's a little bit more controlled. I can say, hey, let's chill, and they'll chill. Friday night, it's all the young wrestlers. It's like, fuck, I can't. They're not going to chill. They don't know what chill means.
Right.
But with my hip, I think because I'm worried about my knee, like I'm overcompensating like other things. Also, my fucking ring finger's like turned wrong now.
Look at
like,
that thing. That's crooked as hell.
Yeah, I can't. I know exactly what happened with that one though. Like when this one happened, and now it's back to normal. It's fine. But when that got injured, I don't even know how that got injured. But this one, I know I had someone's sleeve. They yanked the grip away.
Oh man.
And I didn't have a good grip on it yet. So when he pulled it, they pulled down, and that's why it's turned that way now. But
it's very clearly crooked.
And Sarah's like, yo, you got to go to the doctor. I was like, no, I'll be all right. He's like, they're going to break it and reset it. It was like, I especially don't want to go after you say that.
Right.
Like, just like, I'm just going to let it, because this pinky was the same way. Like, it's much better than it used to just be like this. Now it's actually straight now. So, but yeah, with my hip, I'm just like, I think because I'm worried about my knee, I'm just like doing so much more from the hip, in terms of like, with different guards, and I think that's just affected me. I've also got a bunch of different videos on like tight hips, because that's part of my issue. I do have tight hips, and I'll get it worked out, and then also sleeping too, like because I woke up in the middle of the night, not in pain but uncomfortable, so I had to readjust. But either way it goes, like, I'm getting old, but I know that I can, that old ain't something that's going to kill me.
Get yourself some bands.
I do have
and if
bands.
You,
I do.
You can, see them right there.
No, those are my belts. I got some bands in my tote over there, because I used to use them out here.
But a great resource, especially for tight hips, using bands. If you go on Instagram, you can follow that page, Squat University. You probably already follow him, but
let's see.
That dude, he's a doctor, Aaron Horschig or something like that. But he's always talking about how to use bands for tight hips, joint mobilizations, things like that. And another great resource is Dr. Connor Harris. He's also on Instagram. I got a couple. Well, the Squat University guy, I bought a couple of his books, and because of him, I bought a book from. Now that I'm trying to fucking tell somebody about it, I'm drawing a blank. But the book is called Back Mechanic, and from Dr. Connor Harris. He has a bunch of like ebooks and things like that. One of his books that I bought is Body Restoration and like Lower Limb Foundations. And another good one is Knees Over Toes Guy.
Yeah, that one. I do follow him. Yeah, there's it's weird on my Off the Mats Instagram. It's all the content that comes through is mostly like stuff for like joint health and ligament health. It's like, I need some jiu-jitsu stuff because I got to do reposts. And it's like, but then I send all those to BJJ Wiki. I have a folder there that I go to. A lot of times when I'm working out down here, I'll pull up the iPad and then pull up those videos and just kind of mimic the videos. So I can't like look at words like and know what to do.
Right.
But it's like if I see a video on what to do, it's like okay, because now I can mimic.
Yeah, I mean, and all those guys, they got the longer form, teachings on YouTube too. So Squat University, Dr. Connor Harris, knees over toes guy. They're all, all that stuff's phenomenal information that you can use.
Like, so you text me earlier, told me you're heading over.
Yeah.
I text okay. I never hit send.
Oh, nice.
Like I just looked, I was like, oh, okay.
I was wondering why I didn't get a response. I'm sitting out front and kids are already started playing. Sarah walked out.
Like, cause I heard the commotion and everything. I was like, okay, like people are here, but I just realized, oh, I never hit send. But either way, you're here.
Yeah, they're probably at that birthday party now.
But yeah, let's go ahead and wrap up here and get done here. So definitely got to do this again. I mean,
yeah, for sure, man.
It's like I say that every time.
It's a nice
like
little easy flow, dude.
It's always like a year in between each time. It's like
right.
Fuck, like you're right here.
I know. I told you whenever we come over here and do the UFC stuff, if you want to.
Well, there have been a couple times where I did want to like sit down before the fights, but like I think one of the times I had like backed up episodes, so I had so many already stacked. And it's like, well, I don't want to like sit down right now, and then this episode won't go out for like a month,
right?
Maybe more. So it's like, let me like kind of condense us to a point where it's like, all right, I know this episode will go out next week,
right.
Such as this one. Even though you all are listening to this thinking, well, what does next week mean? Well, it means you're going to get this when you get this. So there. But Dana, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Before we get out of here, shout outs, mentions, anything you want to leave listeners with?
Well, if you are looking into starting a kettlebell journey, there is a few different resources you can check out. Number one, you can go to Raise Bells on Instagram, but also a partner of mine, Pro Kettlebell, they just dropped a very simple ebook that you can get. It's called the Ultimate Kettlebell Exercise Library, and it's going to be 365 workouts, and they're going to everything from the basic dynamic movements to other exercises. And if you're looking into getting into kettlebell training, a great place to start would be looking into the pentathlon. It's your foundational lifts for, kettlebells. Cleans, long cycle press or clean and jerk, jerk, half snatch, and push press. The format would be, it's a 50-minute event where you do each exercise for 6 minutes with a 5-minute break in between. So if you're interested in, that's the ultimate, the very best way to really start training with kettlebells is you do the pentathlon. You start training, because you're training the foundational lifts. And then you start, building your volume, building your pacing for each lift. And it's just a phenomenal way to get into it. Pretty much all the new beginners that are reaching out to me, I'm teaching them pentathlon because, like I said, it's the foundation of everything you're going to do in kettlebells.
All right.
So, yeah, that's about it.
All right. I will be sure to put links and everything in the show notes.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
People can reach you and also look up the resources as well.
Yeah, I'll send you the links to everything.
Awesome. Actually, that works even better.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I have to go search and I'm like, man, I don't know what
I'll send you a link to the book for Pro Kettlebell. That's a very beginner-friendly book. I'll send you some resources on the pentathlon too, because, there's really no better way to start than with those two. Those two resources are going to be your best options if you want to train alone. If you're training in your basement, you get a single bell, and that's all you need to start.
Okay. Perfect. All right. And as always, to you guys, the listeners, thank you. If y'all got any questions, concerns, criticisms even, feel free to reach out. You can find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram. Let me slow down because I say that a lot and people are like, what the fuck you say? bjj.wiki. I feel like, though, if you're listening, you know where to find me. You can also find me on Instagram at Off the Mats Podcast as well. That's where I do all my stuff. Instagram, bjj.wiki, and Off the Mats. I want to give a big shout out to my crew over there at Nerve Rage Radio. Bobby, Chris, Joe, Marilyn, Phil, Ricky, Tiki, Chucky O, all the guys. Farrell, Nerve Rage Radio. We love you guys. If it wasn't for Nerve Rage Radio, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. So thanks to them. And if you don't like the podcast, then blame them because I started because of them. They didn't want to talk about the things I want to talk about, so I had to make my own shit. I also want to give a shout out to my other podcast. So, you like horror? If you like scary movies, go check it out. I think by the time this one comes out, we'll be getting ready to prep the Nightmare on Elm Street remake versus original episode. So, stay tuned for that. And I don't like to do a discussion about which is better because that doesn't exist to me. You may have one that you like versus not, but for me, it is really just a matter of having a conversation, comparing the two in terms of what did they do that was different, what did they do that was similar, and just different themes along the way. So go check it out. So You Like Horror on Instagram, all the words separated by underscores, and also to find the podcast. It's anywhere that you find podcasts. Anywhere. Like, where are you listening to this at? Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
I usually listen on Spotify.
Yeah, that's the link I always use. Mm-hmm. So I send people to Spotify. Like Spotify need to, I don't know, maybe give me a little cut here, man. I'm sending people their way, and they just be like, you should be. I was like, no, son, you should give me a quarter, at least. Like, give me 20 cents. I don't care. And last but not least, I want to thank my guest here again, Mr. Kettlebell himself, Raise Bells, Dana. I don't be dropping last names like that anymore. Just because like people be getting weird about last names. Yeah. Every time I have a guest, they're like, "Don't do my last name." I'm like, all right, but great conversation. It was
fun.
Just the UFC path. Then we got into the kettlebells and started talking about life, and then talk about jiu-jitsu, and then back to kettlebell. So that's what I like. We can go all over the place. So thank you for making the time. Even though we had 3 different times,
right?
Apparently set here. I think you had noon. I said 3, and then my alarm said 11.
Right.
It was like,
well, that's because we did say noon. So your alarm was telling you, hey.
Well, the alarm went off at 10:30 saying, hey, you're supposed to record at 11. I was like, I don't schedule nobody for 11. So that's fucking wrong. But either way it goes. Thank you for doing this. And then, we'll definitely do this again before 2026 because...
Yeah, well, I'll be seeing you soon for one of these.
We'll be watching the fights anyway.
Right.
So, but that's how it's going to work. And you guys are listeners again. We love you. You know what it is. You guys keep listening. We're going to definitely keep making these shows. Thank you, everybody, and goodbye.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.